shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Into the trends. See you lead, be the band.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa, Mother's Day edition. Sunday morning, the sun is shining in Michigan. Just wanted to start the show on a bright note because we got some stuff to talk about. Should be heavy discussion. But how you doing this morning, Coach?
Seen better days. Lewis, seen better days. Well, for you listeners out there, that's the only ounce of positivity you'll get this episode. Just kidding. You mentioned, man, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and it's gonna be tough to find any of the good. So let's get in it. Let's get between the weeds and let's get covered filthy in mud, as these Tigers are, I believe, 4-10 in their last 14 games.
Yeah, buckle up. We got a lot to discuss. But as far as the week is concerned, we started on May 1st against started on May 4th against a Boston team that has looked better since they fired their manager. And they certainly assisted them in boosting up their turnaround. They swept us clean out of the building, clean out of Comerica Park. I was in there. I was actually there on Tuesday when the whole fiasco happened with Framber Valdez, where he, it's kind of set the tone for, what the week looked like. Poor defense. Which turned into more opportunities for Boston. I think they scored 3 runs in the first inning of that Framber outing. Which Tigers got 2 back immediately. Vierling hit a home run, so we got back in the game, but ultimately we got blown out. Bench is clearing. Bench is clearing scenario. It wasn't a brawl, no punches thrown, but. Yeah, it kind of put a cap to the end of a pretty bad Framber outing where I think he gave up 2 home runs in a row, and then he threw at Trevor Story. I think it was Trevor Story that he threw at, and we found out later that they were stealing signs and all that good stuff. But the end result, Framber was suspended for 5 games. You got an opportunity to see the AJ Hinch response to that. What did he have to say about that? I think you saw it.
So yeah, it was kind of awkward. He basically said, it didn't feel right being out there for that kind of reason. So essentially, the summarization from the media on that quote was, we'll back you for the right reason, but this isn't how we do it here, or how we take care of our business in that kind of manner. So again, another public comment that kind of goes against the grain or goes against within the locker room for AJ. So we jokingly mentioned it when the signing was announced to Framber with the mix-up with the catcher last year. And now you kind of see some of this, and it's like, all right, well, how much more before it begins to detract away from what the team is doing and it becomes more about the individual. But hopefully it's a lesson learned, and AJ and his staff are able to help, settle him down and refocus on what's important and teach him to, just put those kind of emotions aside as best as possible. But it's right now, man, there is not a single starting pitcher other than Jack Flaherty from game 1 of that opening day roster that's healthy right now. So even though it's one start, it's still a big one because now the bullpen that's already been used quite a bit is being leaned on a bit more.
Yeah, and it's, that was obviously we got the news about Skubal. We've since then got some better news, but we knew that Skubal was going to be out for the foreseeable future, and that he had recently had surgery. So, my girl asked me, so who is like the top pitcher right now? I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're going to go see Framber today, and yada, yada, yada. And that's how it turned out. And, I said that after the 2 home runs, it felt after he wasn't pulled from the game, because they were obviously trying to get him to, get through things, because at this point he had given up. I don't think he gave up any runs after that home run. So after the 2 home runs, I was like, ooh, like I know his blood is boiling, and you didn't feel like it was going to get any better. And of course, it crosses your mind the crossing up of the catcher. So when he just flat out threw at the Trevor Story, like, okay, well, that's the unsettling feeling. That's what the end result was. So, very interesting AJ situation, because he former, I'm sure he had to go to bat for Framber a little bit in order to get him in Detroit, because he coached him in Houston, and it was kind of like, I know we were assholes and terrible people back in Houston, but we don't do that in Detroit. So, it didn't show any solidarity, unfortunately. But yeah, so that was a disaster. But the reoccurring theme for me has been the defense, from some unlikely, guys. Like, yes, we are missing Parker Meadows, amazing center fielder. I feel like when I see the center field play is just not the same. It's not even the same than when we had Javi out there. You just feel like there's some balls that the center fielder could, get to, that just bloop in for singles, and those kill you at the end of the day. But we got Zach McKinstry back, one of our better defenders. So I'm thinking, okay, fine. We lose something, but we gain something back. But he has had some blunders. Wenceel Perez has had some blunders that's cost us. Inside the park home run yesterday. Kerry Carpenter plays a ball in the corner, injures his shoulder in the process. So yeah, it's just been one thing after another. And I think I looked at the stats this morning, and I think we're 24th in fielding percentage and 25th in errors. I think that's what it was. But we've always been, or especially you have always been critical of the defense, because you've been critical of the defense, deservedly so. But I feel like we've hit an all-time low. What are your thoughts about defense being one of the bigger problems going into the week?
Because if you're not hitting, you need to be playing defense. And if you're doing neither, then you're really not contributing anything to the lineup, and really don't deserve a regular spot, a regular time. But problem is we've got a handful of guys that unfortunately are not hitting, and a bulk of those that are not hitting are also not playing as great as defense as we would need to kind of help offset some of those issues that we have seen more recently come to light and rear their head, in terms of the missed plays, the wild pitches, the pass balls, the errors, overthrows, you name it, we've seen it pretty much. And it's crazy because, Kerry, to your point, it's weird, misplays it and then just awkwardly kind of falls into that wall on the side and gets lifted from the game. What seemed like cautionary, but like things like that have, been the Tigers this year. Newton's Law. Everything that can go wrong so far has gone wrong damn near. I joked offline. I said, I know we said the Toledo Mudheads would look good this year on paper. I just didn't think half of them would be up this early with the Tigers for various reasons. Right now, your lowest DWAR player, Spencer Torkelson, -0.8, and he gets the bulk of the playing time, other than maybe Riley and Glaber, are probably the only the two that get as much equal regular at bats and playing time, or at least starts. So I mean, and Torque had that hot week just the other week, but man, what a difference a week makes. And he had, I think, 1 hit this week, maybe 2 so far top. So not hitting, not fielding, not a good combination for this team. The only benefit, and we're probably going to say it to death, but it's true until they're out of it. They're playing this bad in the worst division in baseball, and that's the only reason why they're still as close as they are to first place in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, you take that week away from Torkelson. I mean, what do we have? Not much, because
a demotion.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, that was a crazy week. He had like 5 games in a row. He hit a home run, which are I think he has 6 on the year. So just more inconsistencies. We'll often go through stretches where it's just like, are these guys everyday baseball players, or are they not? Because there's just such extremes to them. I mean, Dingler was on fire, looked like the best hitting catcher in baseball for a minute. He's cooled off. McGonigal, understandably so. He's a rookie. He's finally going through his adjustment period. He's been struggling. The one lone guy that has held things down over the last week, over the last month even, is Riley Green. He's having, for all intents and purposes, another start to the year that, resembles, an all-star. He's got 23 walks this year, which is unbelievable. I don't know how many he had at this point last year, but that just seems pretty high. In the last 30 days, he's hitting 370. He's got 4 home runs, and he's got an OPS over 1,000. He's tearing the cover off the ball, but not much of anybody else is really contributing right now. You couple that with, how many injuries we've had on the pitching staff. The pitching chaos is back. It's not working the way it did 2 years ago. I think we kind of got rid of it last year. I think we had issues last year with the pitching chaos. It's just not a sustainable process. But yeah, the other constant that we've had, Kiter Montero, he didn't get the win yesterday. I believe Finnegan blew the game on Friday. Am I mistaken?
Yeah. No, he came in and within 2 or 3 batters promptly gave up the lead. He got popped pretty good.
Yeah. So Flaherty had a decent outing the other day. I think the defense failed him as well in that game. So we saw a little bit of everything. We had some blowouts, certainly some blowouts, that 10-3 game on Tuesday, but we've also played some very close games Friday. So I don't know. Like I said earlier, team lacks identity. We just don't have that spark. We're extremely banged up, and I don't really know where things get better. I mean, hitting-wise, pitchers, everybody's got injuries on their pitching staff. Hitting-wise, Parker Meadows is out for the foreseeable future. There's nothing we can do about that. Does bringing Javi Baez and his energy, does that bring us the spark we need? Gleyber Torres, he was having an okay season. He's getting on base, but does that stop the bleeding, bringing him back in the next couple of weeks? I just don't know. But what are your thoughts before we get into the last break?
Yeah, I think the team before the injuries was the short favorite. I would take them to win the division, but beyond that, it's tough to say. They were consistently looked at as the lowest odds-on favorite to win the American League out of those to make it into the playoffs. So a lot of the vote placers, whatnot, aren't terribly great on him. And frankly, you look at the playoffs and the offensive struggles the last 2 years. On paper, the lineup hasn't really changed too much. The arms have, so they have not addressed the offensive needs. Because right now, I mean, to your point, we have to see what these guys look like here over the next 2 to 6 weeks as we get into June. At that point, mid to later June, so that way they've got time to evaluate between then and the trade deadline to see what they really need to address the most. And that's determining, too, that Scott Harris sees this team as worthy of, as we've seen GMs here in Detroit do in recent years. Hey, you got to prove it to me that you're capable of being contended before I go, make a big move in free agency at the deadline that could potentially, change the direction of the future in order to win now. So, yeah, they got to grind it out. This has been a very ugly week. I have not watched too many games, not going to lie. Been listening to some depressing Dan Dickerson calls on 97.1, as we talked about offline. And that's tough to listen to. Guy's always a half glass full kind of broadcaster, and he's kind of been down the dumps at some of these outcomes and, the ways that they're blowing some of these games, not just your normal giving up a walk-off or whatnot, but throwing it around, to your point about the defensive cues. But, yeah, let's go ahead and head into that last break, and we'll follow it up here and cap off this hideous week.
All right. We'll be right back. All right. Well, this is the point of the year where the roster, the roster moves and injuries are super, super busy. What do we have? What do we have as far as that's concerned? Trey Lyons in the building. Go Cards, he says.
Yeah. So back on the 3rd, they DFA'd Grant Holman and bought the contract of Zach Short from Toledo. I don't think the literally lasted 48 hours before he was called up. On the 4th, we got the news about Tarek Skubal. Within a half hour, went from being scratched to having elbow or needing elbow surgery. Was placed on the 15-day IL with surgery successful earlier this midweek. Roughly, they said it could be as early as 4 to 6 weeks, but more than likely around that 6, maybe closer to 8-week marker to be ready to go for activation and game readiness. Along with that, they recalled Ty Madden, who's made a couple appearances since then. On the 6th, Glaber was placed in the IL, retroactive to, I believe, a day or two before, prior to the series beforehand. They were determining if he was going to need to be, and they did 10 days and recalled Jace Young. Oh boy, that name we're going to hear quite a bit for the next handful of weeks. Was recalled on the 7th. They DFA'd Zach Short and outrighted relief pitcher Yaniel Curet for his base assignment, released him outright for the contracts, just to turn around and re-sign Zach Short to a major league deal. So he's on the 26th man, and then also sent back down to Toledo, Jace Young. As I mentioned, we've got 3 Jace Young sightings here in just the last handful of days here. But yeah, who knows? We mentioned Kerry Carpenter. No news or update about that yet. But heaven forbid, if he's got to be on the IL because of that, boy, this team just needs to be placed in a bubble.
Yeah, and to Tim Lyons' question, it's not Tommy John. They said there's some bodies in his elbow or piece, basically some
loose bodies. Yeah.
Loose bodies. It sounds crazy even saying it. I mean, that's basically what I said, but yeah. So there's some, some part of his elbow that was floating around, or they basically had to come in and clean it up. The first reports were 2 months or something like that. But most recently, we found out that it's been 4 to 6 weeks, possibly. So definitely a better outcome than we originally thought. But yet and still with the number of injuries, Troy Melton and Verlander and everybody else, it's a lot to deal with, especially when we're left with Casey Mize is hurt, Reese Olson's has been hurt, Job is hurt. But yeah, the fact that we're left with Flaherty as our lone, opening day starter that's healthy, and Kiter Montero holding it down as usual. Tim Lyon says, so sounds like he broke his elbow in the floating ball. No, it's not quite that bad. But yeah, let's get right into the minor league report. We got another good outing from Troy Melton. He went 3 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts in Lakeland. He only threw 27 pitches. Not eligible to return until the 25th of May. So that sounds like a decent amount of time to return if he wants to wait till then, because that's about 2 weeks. Bayron Lorenzo had his first home run of the season. He went into the season injured. He's had a pretty decent spring training, but yeah, I want to say he was batting right-handed. He's a switch hitter, of course. So good to see that from him. Bryce Renier had his first home run as a Whitecap. Gage Workman remains hot. I talked about it last week. He just loves Toledo, and nowhere else. Justice Bigby, a guy that's kind of bounced around, a guy that's a little older. He's having a good start to the year. Not hitting for much power, or hasn't hit any home runs, but he's hitting .330 with 21 RBIs, a couple stolen bases. And Malachi Witherspoon. He was drafted just last year. Him and his brother both went in the first round. He had 10 Ks as a Flying Tiger in Lakeland. He comes to 5th pitcher in SL with a double-digit strikeout game this season. He's a guy that, with the way he went to college, he's a college guy, so he's not, fresh out of high school or anything like that. But with all the struggling arms we have, he's a guy that might fly through the system. Like I said, his brother went much earlier in the first round. I think his brother went top 5 or top 10. But he's got some good upside. And hey, at this point, what do we have to lose with the amount of injuries we got? Will Vest. I haven't seen Kenley Jansen. It's probably because we haven't had any save opportunities. But just
put him on the milk carton.
Yeah, he's I don't know if his pride is shook or what, but and outside of that, we almost had a grand slam from Max Clark yesterday. It was fan interference. He reached over. I think he kind of reached. They made it seem like it was the fans' fault, but he interfered in some kind of way, so it ended up being a ground rule double. But so it's something that could possibly be a shot in the arm for Max Clark, because he has struggled as of late. Even though he's been given, he's really it's wide open for him. Because we are so, depleted at outfield right now. Kerry Carpenter could possibly be hurt. Wenzel Perez hasn't really stepped up. Beerling has been all right. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the minor league report. Oh, Peyton Graham, who plays for the Lake Erie, had 2 home runs the other day. And then I think I had one more guy. Oh, yeah. Tigers prospect Jude Warwick just homered for the 2nd time in 3 innings. So big. I don't know a lot about Jude Warwick. I know a little bit more about Peyton Graham. He played on that historic Erie team that won all those games last year with McGonigal and Clark and Lorenzo and Briseño. He was kind of played the back seat, but he did his part. But yeah, Jude Warwick, 2 home runs in the first 3 innings. A lot of offense in the minor leagues. Let's see what
was the other news out of Toledo? The big news, unexpectedly.
I don't know. What you fill us in?
Oh, they fired their manager. Remember, for inappropriate.
Oh man,
yeah.
Right.
And Mike
Right.
Hessman is now the interim, the OG legendary Mud Hen, the organization's all-time hit leader and games played leader for Toledo as interim. We will leave the details out. They're available in public online if you want to look them up. But let's just say, there was a joke not taken too kindly, and he is no longer the manager of the Toledo Mud Hens.
And that's, I mean, he's not a major league head coach, but to be relieved of your duties, I mean, how do you bounce back? Like, it's not like you can go find another, like, I'll just go find another job that, like that's, I know he's sick about that. I faintly remember Gabe Alvarez. I think he played for us for the 90s. I don't remember. Was he a pitcher or what was he? Maybe a catcher?
I thought he was or something, but I definitely remember the name. I remember seeing him play for parts of a few years, give or take.
Yeah.
There's so many guys in the 90s, and then when we open at Comerica Park.
Right. Now, it looks like he was an infielder. This was a million years ago. He debuted in 98. Like I said, I faintly remember this, but yeah. That was some pretty big news. And Toledo's pretty solid this year. Usually they're kind of down. Our lower levels have been better, but we're pretty stacked at Toledo. Hold on. I'm talking about he'll be out 2 to 3 months. Don't do that. He said, well, you don't get bone chips by just throwing. So at one time he got hit in the arm, elbow, leading to fracture. We'll see. So what's the body rotation?
Could be bone. It could be a variation of like whatever's floating around in the elbow. Bone chips or spurs, I think, are more hazardous. Like if they move around, they could cause more damage. Loose bodies, I don't know, but yeah.
Loose bodies. I mean, you could just say bones if it was bones. So loose bodies could, left it open for interpretation for us. But as far as our rotation, I mean, we got Flaherty, Montero, and then pitching chaos. Who else is a primary everyday starter for us? Seriously. I know Holton has opened a couple games.
Hannafy, Herder, Holton all open. Yeah, was he starting in Toledo?
He's a primary starter. I know he does the opener sometimes, but I think he's technically a starter.
Okay. He wasn't on a 26-man on game 1.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So while we're it's Montero, Flaherty, and pitching chaos. You can maybe throw in Madden, but other than that, you got a lot of games where Tyler Holton starts or stuff like that. But on the part about school, like some people were, especially the early reports when it was looked at its worst, said this may be the last time school will pitch in a Tigers uniform, which was valid from a perspective of, he's out for the season, or from a, we might trade, we might just trade him in July. But how do you see things playing out? We even talked about, him accepting a contract off the fact that he's not, he's 30 years old, or he'll be 30 when he hits the market, and he's obviously got some injury concerns. How would you like to see it play out?
I mean, the selfishness in me for the beyond this year, the outlook would be, okay, this is better news. It's not perfect news. Obviously, perfect news would be he never got hurt, but that's not where we're at. We're in between. And with the updated news of only being about 6 weeks, give or take, 1 to 2 months in full, you're going to get at least a few starts for the trade deadline. And for me, I'd be like, man, if he's 80, 90% of what he was at that point in time, I feel like I'd still be looking at taking calls on him before the trade deadline. Because let's be honest here, unless you're going to trade to make an impact for a bat or two, in addition to some potential arms that they'll need in the next 3 months, this team hasn't gotten any better since 2 years ago when they first made the playoffs. They still struggle offensively. They still struggle with runners in scoring position. They're kind of up and down in the clutch hits category. And their bullpen, which has not been a weakness in the last couple of years, suddenly is a weakness, not to mention the pitching attrition concern. So I don't know. I think you're better off probably trying to see if you can try and get something for him that's more than just a 1-year thing. If that's all people are going to offer, like a 1-year rental player kind of deal, I'm like, just write it out. See where you can go and go from there, because I think they get a comp pick no matter what. Because they're gonna he's qualifying offer or whatever they can give. They're not gonna match anything though. But yeah, that's really those are only 2 options, but could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to play with. I mean, he's still, he's still going to be pretty valuable if he's confirmed to be in any way healthy. He's still got a pretty high value because, going into the injury, his ERA is straight, where it normally is. He's a player that if you get him at the deadline, he can put you in the World Series. He can win you a World Series. So that's something that we have to take into consideration. We talked about, possibly a more, locking him down because his money value may go down due to the fact that, he's already had 2 major surgeries and he's had a 3rd surgery this year. So maybe you can get him for a little bit of a discount, give him some, some security. He's making $20+ million this year, and then beyond that, he's not promised anything else. Especially if the elbow ends up being a lot worse. So it could be a benefit to both sides to come to a agreement. I think you said 3 years, $100 million. Was that the number you threw out there?
Oh yeah, yeah. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, something around there. Like it was just kind of like the number rattled around for about 2 or 3 seconds, and that's kind of what I generally came to. It's nothing. I'm not pulling from any resource or data. I can promise you that. It's just kind of off the top of my head. It's funny because I almost hit McGonagall was right on the head. I was pretty damn close. I was off by like 10 million, I think, overall.
You had good reference. You had good references as far as the other guys, but yeah. Yeah, Tim, depending on the season, I can see y'all trade him if you're in the basement. I mean, we could very well be in the basement, but even as it looks, which I was not expecting to, have to face that. But the reality is nobody in the AL Central is really that good. So even though we're in 4th place now, we're still, despite losing our last 6 games, we're still 2.5 games out of 1st place. So, it sucks to think that we could be in a situation where we could be selling, especially when the AL Central is wide open. But yeah, I mean, we could push forward, jumpstart our future with good prospects if they will be, if a team gets aggressive and wants to go after a school. But I don't know. I think we still have a little bit of time before we start playing with things like that. But it's just interesting to talk about. This injury drives down his value a little bit. There's a little bit more risk and somewhat of an opportunity for us to jump in and make him a Tiger for life. Scary to think about because we could be stuck on the line with a guy that's past his prime, not past his prime, but starting to break down because it took him a little. He wasn't a Cy Young pitcher like Skeens right out of the gate. He was a little bit older, and he had already had 2 time TAs before he ever won a Cy Young. So, yeah, we'll see about that. Let's get to around the league. What is going on around the league that's worth talking about?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we had some sad news. Hall of Fame legendary manager Bobby Cox of Atlanta passed away at 84, who then promptly turned around and beat up on Snell and the Dodgers last night. They still maintain the best National League team. The San Francisco Giants made a very interesting early year trade, sending their star defensive catcher Patrick Bailey to Cleveland for the number 29 overall pick this year, and left-handed pitcher Matt quote tugboat unquote Wilkinson that was in the ESPN release. That was interesting to see. And they also lose their ace Alex Webb to the 15-day IL due to knee bursitis. Minnesota places their starting pitcher Taj Bradley, who pitched a gem against us last time, go figure, on the 15-day IL due to pectoral inflammation. And as we mentioned, Bobby White, even though it was against us, you feel the kid in you when you see an inside the park home run, and that is noteworthy, even though it happened against us. And then of also interesting news that I texted you this morning of the Tampa Bay Rays in the brief time have released Justin Henry Malloy as a Ray.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on Malloy, and he hit a couple home runs, but yeah, he's kind of fallen off, falling off a cliff as far as hitting wise. So that's very valuable defensively. So we'll see what happens if he can get back on with another team, or if Scott Harris gives it another go. Detroit, we got players dropping like flies, so maybe an opportunity for a quick reunion. But yeah, interesting random trade. Not a blockbuster trade, of course, but Patrick Bailey is a premier defensive catcher. And I was watching the Giants yesterday, and old friend of ours was catching in San Francisco. Eric Haas still rolling around in the league. So that's who the replacement is, apparently. I don't know. They got to have somebody else. There's no way Eric Haas is the everyday catcher in San Francisco now. So I don't know. But this is interesting, though. I don't know if it's considered a buy move for Patrick Bailey. I think Patrick Bailey is 26 years old. They got the other catcher. His brother plays for the Mariners. What's their last name?
Oh, Naylor.
Naylor, yeah. I know he's having a down year. I don't know how he is, what his defensive metrics looks like, but Homer Bailey's not exactly hitting the Patrick Bailey's not exactly hitting the cover off the ball himself. So definitely a defensive. Oh, they got what they go Hodge, or what's the guy? Guardians got a couple catchers. What's his name? Hodges.
Well, they had Austin Hedges.
Hedges.
Who played for New York too.
So they got Austin Hedges, they got Bo Naylor, and now they got Patrick Bailey as well. So Guardians are out here, not making poor moves, but they're trying to get better. They can see an opportunity to take the Central yet again. And therein lies my next concern. Oh, hold on. See what Tim's talking about. How's the Mud Hens looking? We used to watch them all the time when I was growing up. Well, their coaching situation is kind of messy, but I want to say we're above 500 right now. Mud Hens record.
Offense has been good the last couple of weeks. It took them a little bit to get going, but it seemed like from their Instagram story recaps that they've been better than most.
Yeah. Yeah, last I checked, they were over 500. But they've been down. Overall, they've been down the last couple of years. I will say that. I don't know. I can't find it. But anyways, what else did he say? Mariners are playing awful. Cal Riley's falling completely off. I think that's where Tim lives now in Seattle. Julio Rodriguez says that it's just cold shit. That's the reason why he can't hit. Well, I think it's got a little warmer. You can attest to that more, Tim. No, you're good. But yeah, the Mariners, the team that was a thorn in our side and, smoked us before the All-Star break and then, beat us last year in the playoffs. Having struggled with their own. The AL West is run by the Sacramento A's at the current moment. But yeah, what I was going to say is that my concerns are that, and we'll talk about the upcoming games and probables. We haven't played the Guardians yet. We haven't played the White Sox yet. We know that they, the Guardians, they got Chase DeLauder. They got, Parker Messick. They got some young spark. They got some stars, of course, Kwan and Jose Ramirez. You got the White Sox coming up. They got Murakami. They got some good player, some young players as well. They got Vargas. I can't remember his first name, but who's been having a really, really improved year. We haven't played the A's. We haven't played the first place New York Yankees. Like, it's not going to get any better for us. As far as the favorable schedule anyways. And, I'm just not seeing enough signs of life. I know that Riley Green's going to bring it every day, but, beyond that, who else can we look, who else can we, count on to, to get, make things better. But, what are your thoughts about the foreseeable future for us?
I mean, I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall here, just saying it because it's not going to happen. Because AG's not going to break his system. I with how bad the offense has been, man, I'd be leaning into more of the guys that have been delivering, playing them more regularly, not pitching them. I mean, up until the cool down here, Jake Rogers had been getting regular playing time for Dingler. And why? Guy was hitting $110 versus the guy who has probably had your top two power outside of maybe Riley or Carpenter. And then, Torkelson had that hot week, but now he's right back to doing what he has done in clutch situation, which is nothing and disappearing or taking a walk. I don't know. It's frustrating, but at the same time, yeah. And Cole Keith has been good. I mean, as a whole, the series has been good. But to your point, too, I think he's 2 for his last 14 with no extra base hits. Same thing. And he's had some miscues defensively, whereas he had a pretty good stretch defensively, playing third. Had a first base game or two where he played well defensively. But, I think that miscue was just part of the bugaboo this team is feeling defensively out there. Because that infield collectively all has at least one, if not two errors, I think, a piece right now. I think Torkelson aside, who I think he's got a throwing error. But, yeah, uncharacteristic things for these guys. And it's kind of all snowballing if you think about it. The last 10 days you've had bullpen blowups, bad starting pitching, had defense, and inability to score runs almost collectively in multiple buckets for most of these games. And the results are showing what happens when you meet a lot of those the wrong way. You make it very hard to beat anyone. And you're kind of playing against yourself. So they're trying to stay right within Cleveland or whoever's the Central and then see what happens.
Yeah, and last I think we were dead last and outs above average. So it's definitely not going to aid in your other situations like inconsistent bats and a lot of injured arms. You kind of need the defense to hold things down. Tim says 60s staff needs to hear Julio needs to stop being a B. I go finish that. He says, how about the youngest team in MLB cards? Shocking me. Yeah. It's just unfortunate they play in the toughest division in baseball. I think at one point everybody was above 500. The Cubs are on top right now. The Reds have fallen on tough times as of recently, but the Cards are in second place, 3.5 games back. And yeah, to this day, everybody is above 500. They've obviously been beaten up on the American League, or certainly been beaten up on the Tigers. But yeah, it's only a matter of time, I think, before the Cards start falling off. They got some talent, but too young, and they're not. They're really trying to lose. So they're kind of going against probably what they would even want. Let's take our last break, and then we are gonna talk probables for the week. All right, who we got this week?
All right. We get an off day, we get an off day tomorrow after we finish this Kansas City series tonight. 3 games in New York facing the Mets. Starting off with Jack Flaherty Tuesday against newly acquired Peralta. Wednesday will be I stand corrected. I think it would have been Framber. So I guess it's going to be TBD against Scott. Thursday will be Montero against McLean. Their young rookie who pitched also for Team USA in the WBC. Before they head back home for a 3-game series against the Blue Jays. Friday, pitching chaos, TBD. Someone off the Kmart Blue Light Special. Don't know yet against you, Savage. Saturday, also the same TBD against Lauer. And Sunday will be Flaherty against Kevin Gossman. That looks like a mismatch galore on paper, just those head-to-head. Quick peek. Beyond that, we have Monday through Thursday, 4-game series, continuing homestand against Cleveland Guardians, the aforementioned, and then heading to Baltimore for a 3-game series to take a look at the new-look Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I don't know who that TBD guy is, but he's getting a lot of playing time right now.
He's up there in Cy Young odds right now, too, all of a sudden.
I mean, they're sending him out there every third day, so why not? Yeah, the Blue Jays have taken a step back a little bit. Lot of injuries over there as well. But yeah, Trey Savage, I think he was hurt for a little bit too. So, and then obviously you don't have Bo Bichette anymore. But the first series.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead.
No, it's outside Tiger. It's on the lead. Go ahead. I'll end on that.
Yeah, but no, obviously we got the final game of the series against the Royals. Hopefully we can avoid 2 sweeps in a row. Okay, so now we don't have the Guardians until next week. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully we're not, because the Mets and Blue Jays are 2 teams that have struggled this year. They're both under 500. The Mets, I think, are well under 500, but hopefully we don't have the same fortune that we had against the Boston Red Sox, who had just fired their coach. We don't want to be the team that jumpstarts their turnaround. The series will be in New York, but much needed day off for the team to, recover a little bit. Hopefully we can get some guys back soon. I haven't heard too much. I know Verlander he had some live batting practice against Hyu Lee and was it Wenzel Perez? Yeah. So we might getting JV back soon. For what it's worth, I don't know. It can't be much. We'll just see. We will see. But what were you gonna say?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say the video of the breakdown. I think John Boy was all over it. The debut of Spencer Jones of the Yankees in his at-bat against Jacob Misiorowski, and just your how they do on some of those player podcast shows. They're like, what was your welcome to the league or welcome to the show moment? Try seeing 102 to 104 for what was it? 4 straight pitches before he took that disgusting slider at 89 that I'm sure looked like 69 after seeing almost 105 for 3 or 4 straight pitches. I mean, that's just cruel. I mean, bro, that was like Zumaya back. That'd be like seeing Zumaya back in the day, coming out throwing 101, 102, but 104. Stop.
Yeah, Mizorowski is nasty. Spencer Jones is a highly touted prospect. He tore it up in spring training. Definitely took JV yard. I saw that with my own eyes. He's had a good start to the season in the minor leagues, but they say that the separation between AAA to the majors, which you would think in your brain, maybe a little bit of uptick, but they said that the spread between the two has never been so high, and that's a very eye-opening experience for him. Just seeing the difference in the levels to things, but very promising hitter. I think I would say Jason Dominguez went on the IL so that he could get that opportunity. But he reminds me a little bit of Matt Olson. I think I said that to you. That like a real open stance. Yeah. He's a taller guy. If push comes to shove, Yankees are looking to put together a package to get Skubal. He's one of the guys that I would be interested in, but that's another story.
What position does he play? Is he outfield?
I think he plays. I think he plays corner outfield. If I'm not mistaken. But he's a tall guy. What is he? 6'7"? So definitely could
put that frame at first base.
There you go. Definitely an opportunity there, or DH, whatever the case may be. But that's where we're at right now. As it stands, the Tigers are 4th place, above the Minnesota Twins, who are dead last. Hold on. Actually, I'll pull it up here.
It's the Mets, the Angels, and the Giants are all tied for worst.
In baseball?
Yeah, 15 wins each.
Yeah, that's wild. Those are some teams that spend some money, Obviously, the Rafael Devers is getting paid some nice money. Matt Chapman, Willie Diamonds. These aren't cheap teams. But there are obviously the Giants are already selling off for draft picks. They already traded their defensive catcher, and they got Eric Haas out there. So seems like they're packing up and taking their ball home. But here are the AL Central standings. The Tigers are 18-22, 2.5 games out of first place, and they've lost their last 6 games, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. So home record still is really good, 12-6. Struggling quite a bit on the road. Everybody hits well at home as far as the Tigers are concerned. But for myself personally, defense. I mean, those are the unforced errors that really kill you, especially when your team is shorthanded. Right now, we got Zach Short playing short, not every day, but he's on a major league deal, which is kind of insane to me. But what's to look? What are you looking for in the next week?
Oh, just stay within, like I'd say 4 or 5 games of the division lead. I'm not saying that it's okay to slide further behind than where they're at right now, but I that's manageable considering I'll say even just going into the end of the month. So forget this week, just the next 21 days, 20 days, the rest of the month. just play around 500 ball. I mean, we're in we're not necessarily, in a coma, but we're like kind of on life support a little bit. We're kind of floating, keeping our head above water here. So you really can't afford to get swept that many times. Got to be able to take some of these series against your division opponents here, because if they start kind of mixing and matching, it's going to make it very hard to determine if this team is even capable of coming back from whatever deficit, even if it's a short one, small one, by the trade deadline, because they got to prove it. They got to score. They got to play better defense. They got to get their pitchers back. They got to show that they are of quality, provide good innings, and then get it over to the bullpen into the right hands, who have hopefully then figured their own demons that they've been dealing with lately figured out as well. So it's a lot of moving pieces right now. So we're not asking for much. Just do a lot of the little things right and just see what happens. Because it's hard to set an expectation right now. To your point, what do we have? A good mix of mud hens, a splash of Seawolves. Like, this team is basically a walking minor league team right now. So you can't really, go up there, give me 9 and bang out a grand slam. No, it's not going to happen with this roster.
No,
5 runs is the goal. Let's just get to 5 runs and then see what happens.
Yeah, just got to hold serve at this point. I mean, we still have to put things in perspective. This is our last guaranteed year of school, so I mean, essentially, we should be going all in. We should be in the mindset of we need to go all in and try to win one time, because we are possibly losing one of the best pitchers in baseball. But that's gonna be hard to justify if things continue to get worse, because there's a lot of decisions to be made. And as far as the trade deadline is concerned, there's one area that we are just great at. Yes, we should be a lot more healthy in the next month or so, pitching wise, Mize, Melton, Verlander. But I mean, we could use some defensive players, we could use some hitters, we could use some starters, we could use some bullpen. I mean, there's a lot of ground that you're trying to cover in that period of time. So just need to see more. And just need to see more. But yeah, we'll be back next week with another recap of the week. Subscribe to the channel. We simulcast on Bleachers to Speakers as well as Corner to Copa. And stay tuned. Any breaking news, we'll try to get it to you. And let's just hope for a better next week. I mean, it can't get any worse. I almost said it. We'll see y'all next time.
All right, it's too good. Sorry.
Get your lick back. If a nigga gon' do something, ain't no chit chat.